Chapter 16. Alignment. Jake warily eyes everyone in the room as he follows behind Danny closely. "Welcome to the Schaefer School of Martial Arts," says a large man in front of the room of about 15 to 20 students, ranging in ages from 13 to 18. "You brought me to a dojo?" "Look, I already go to one in Bloomington sometimes," Jake says, putting his hands up. "Why? Is it a problem?" "I just don't see why." Jake has a feeling of unease that he cannot explain. "Come on, follow me," says Danny, walking into the back. Danny leads Jake to a locker room, where she opens up one of the lockers and tosses Jake a black uniform. "Here, put this on," Danny says, throwing him the garments. "But I don't belong to this dojo," says Jake, unfolding the shirt and looking at the symbol on the back. A massive black dragon with piercing red eyes stares back at him. Its wings are folded around Japanese characters for the school's name. The dragon itself seems to be composed entirely of black fire. "You do now. Just put it on and stop being a baby." "What's it mean?" asks Jake, taking off his shirt. "It's a dragon, dumbass. What do you think it means?" says Danny, taking her shirt off so that she stands beside him in only her bra. Jake turns his head to the side, holding the uniform. "What are you doing?" asks Danny, turning towards him. "I just..." Jake whispers, trying not to stare at the cleavage spilling over her bra. "Oh my god, I have boobs. What, you never seen boobs before?" growls Danny, grabbing her chest with both hands angrily and shaking her breasts. "Grow up!" She puts her arms into the sleeves of the uniform shirt. Danny puts the left side of the shirt over the right and ties strings to the sides. "Left over right," Jake whispers to himself as he puts the shirt on, feeling slightly better since it's the same way that the dojo he usually attends wears their uniforms. Danny begins taking her belt off and undoing her pants. "You going to spaz out about this too?" she asks before taking her pants off. Her pants are very baggy, with many chains and zippers. Jake is surprised at how thin she really is beneath such large pants. No, I'll be fine," whispers Jake, blushing slightly. "I better just not look. She actually has a really nice body. The last thing I need is to get a boner while trying to change my pants in front of her," Jake jokes to himself, glancing at Danny's live form as she slips her pants off. "That would be fucking embarrassing. I'd probably just have to kill myself." They both put on the uniform bottoms, and Danny quickly ties her black belt on to hold it all together. "You have a black belt? Wow," Jake observes. "That's nothing. 90% of the people with black belts can't even sense energy. It's all a big joke. You and your cousin have much more power than the majority of the highest-ranked fighters." "Really? Well, that's awesome." "Are you ready?" asks Danny. "My shirt won't stay together without a belt. I left my taekwondo belt at home. Do I have to wear a white one?" "Do you still not get it? Honors and belt colors are pointless. If you need one so badly, Sensei Schaefer will give you one later. Come on, I need to properly introduce you," says Danny, leading him out of the locker room and into the hallway. "Why are you doing all this?" asks Jake, stopping her with his hand on her forearm. "What do you mean?" "I'm not an idiot. You didn't just happen on me. You sought me out. You hung out with me to bring me here. So why all of this trouble?" "There are a lot of teachings our school follows religiously. Some of the books that we read are just as ancient, and many of them are prophecies and scriptures for events and people to come in the future. Right now, a few of them are pointing you out for something very big, and we can't pass this opportunity up. I don't think you should either." "So what do these texts say about me? Did they mention me by name or what?" "They describe the abilities you possessed, and also contain a sort of location spell to seek out the spirit of the one the texts speak of. That's when I sensed you." "You're really starting to creep me out," says Jake, backing up slowly. "Don't be afraid. This is important. Consider it a tremendous honor." You're probably going to sacrifice me or something, mutters Jake. Only virgins get sacrificed, says Danny, smiling. Great. That was the last thing I needed to hear, Jake sighs loudly. Danny grabs his hand. Come on, just meet them, then decide. The two of them return to the main area where Schaefer and the students sit in a circle, while two of them, no older than Rusty, spar in the center. Jake watches intently as the two go at it violently, blood flying everywhere. Are the fights really supposed to go this far? This is a school. The only time I've ever seen fighting like that is when it was something personal, Jake asks. Ellie and Schaefer walks over to Jake and Danny, grinning at the newcomer. Now that you're dressed, care to show us what you got? Asks Ellie. Since I don't, whispers Danny. I'm just showing him around. He isn't ready yet. He's still struggling against the darkness's pull. If we move now, it's doomed to fail. Elian dismisses her protests. I think we're all tired of waiting. You've invested so much time in ripening this fruit. Do you not wish to see the harvest? Imagine the payoff to all your hard work. I think it's too soon, Master. He still has traces of his morality and shows restraint towards even those he claims to hate. He's not ready for this. Elian waves her words off with his hand and addresses Jake directly. Come on, we've heard a lot of good things about you. Show us some moves. I'm not that good. I've never really been trained by anybody professional like you guys. The dojo I belong to isn't nearly this hardcore, Jake says modestly. Oh, don't play so coy with me, Elian says, narrowing his eyes on Jake. I've heard you were trained by multiple-time world championship finalist Damon Rodnovich. Only for a month or so, Jake whispers, suddenly sensing movement behind him. Jake quickly turns around, facing a student with a knife behind him. What the hell are you doing? Jake shouts, the student moving towards him in a flash of speed. Jake grabs the teen's wrist and strikes him in the throat with an open palm with his other hand. The student reels back, choking for air before he collapses to the carpet unconscious. Wonderful! It's true that you have tremendous awareness of your environment, and your reflexes are superb. You can sense energy. That is a very rare skill, and one even harder to learn. Would he have stabbed me? Is that how this place operates? Growls Jake. He didn't, now did he? Ellie encounters. But if I wasn't so quick, he would have, right? But he didn't. But he would have, hisses Jake. Without answering, Elian merely smiles. You people are animals. Can I leave now? Elian laughs. We're animals? You're as savage a beast as the rest of us. Young Daniela has told us the tortures you've been putting your own family and friends through. You aren't ashamed of your actions. I am. I just really have a hard time controlling myself. When I get mad, I slip away, and it's like I'm watching myself from really far away. It's him, whispers Marcus. Danny, you were right. He's already got it inside of him. I can sense that it's like two separate beings existing within him already. He's the perfect choice. This will make him unstoppable, Danny tells Marcus. Got it inside of me. I feel like I just walked into the middle of one of those movies so bad they make fun of it on Mystery Science Theater 3000, thinks Jake. Just because he has the power, I bet he can't fight. He acts like a coward, says Klaus, the top student of the class after Danny. Why don't you test him out yourself? Asks Danny. What are you doing? I just want to leave. Leave? You haven't seen the best part yet, Elian grins. Jake walks towards the door, narrowing his eyebrows. He's disturbed by the large man's underlying tones. The other students watch him closely, as if they were lions in the Serengeti, and Jake was an impala, wandering slowly through their path to reach another area. Their eyes follow his every movement, barely blinking. This place is really creeping me out. I'm gone, Jake says, heading towards the door. I'm sorry, Danny says, waving her hand towards the door. Biargo. A sparkle of green light envelops the door, casting a barrier in front of it to block Jake from leaving. What are you doing? Jake asks, moving away from the girl and lowering into a light fighting stance, geared towards high mobility, overpowered offense. We can't let you leave. Not after all it took to find you, Danny replies, raising her hand towards Jake. Restrainta. Jake leaps to the side, cursing to himself as he barely dodges the mystical chains that rise up from seemingly nowhere. 2 students attack from behind, grabbing him around the neck and waist. Restrainta. Danny chants again, moving her hand towards Jake and sending the chains towards him at an alarming speed. Jake throws his weight back and kicks his feet over, backflipping, which allows him to push the 2 students into the path of the chains instead, tightly wrapping around the teens, leaving them in immobile cocoons. Jake scans the room quickly, searching for another way out. As soon as his eyes set upon the large windows parallel to the door, Danny blocks them with massive barbed wire-like thorns. If I'm going to get out of here, I'm going to have to take Danny out, Jake thinks, narrowing his focus on the female magician, blocking his retreat. A boy built very similar to Jake moves in front of him. He lowers into a fighting stance, smiling. You're scared, aren't you? Glaus laughs. If I am, can I leave? Jake replies. You really have faith in this spineless weakling, Sensei? Jake, please, just do your best for us, says Danny. Right, but if I get a black eye before we take our yearbook pictures, I'm going to be really pissed off. Glaus darts towards Jake and headbutts him in the face. Jake staggers back, blood dripping from his nose. What the hell was that? Growls Jake, cupping his nose. You give me an opening, I'm going to take it, the other teen says cockily. Jake lunges at Glaus, throwing several quick punches. He blocks him with ease, but leaves Jake grinning. What are you smiling about? You aren't even fast enough to hit me, Glaus growls. I was wanting to save this for my cousin Rusty, but it looks like I'm going to have to try it out a little earlier. Does he have some kind of special attack he's hiding? Wonders Glaus, enhancing his defensive stance. Jake appears behind Glaus. Not until the image in front of the student starts to blur does Glaus realize what happened. He turns in what seems like slow motion as he sees that Jake has moved so fast that his eyes cannot process it, leaving behind an afterimage. Jake delivers a devastating right to the face that nearly knocks the student to his back. That's dirty, growls Glaus, blood running down his lips. Enough of this. It's time we give to him what he was brought here to receive, Elian interrupts. But if he can't beat Glaus, he doesn't deserve the pendant in the first place, Danny argues. I told you he wasn't ready yet. Let me work on him a little while longer. I'm sure that I can mold him into what we require. His strength and skills do not matter much at this point. Once the union occurs, his body's training will not be what determines the outcome. Whoa, what union? Asks Jake. The union of the amulet of Yamura and your soul. The Yamura my dreams warned me about? He's real? Jake panics in terror. Jake launches himself forwards, speeding at Danny, who's barely able to react quickly enough. Danny raises a magical energy barrier between them. Jake's fist collides into the barrier, sending thousands of tiny hairline fractures throughout its length. He's not supposed to be this strong, Danny thinks and fears the energy barrier shatters. Jake's punch erupts through the sparkles of energy that rain down around them. The blow slams into Danny's face with such force that it sends the girl spiraling in the air until she hits the wall and slumps to the floor in a heap. No way. Danny slowly lifts her head, her vision blurred and blood running into her eyes from a gash on her forehead. The barriers blocking the exits lift, and Jake rushes the front door. A figure intercepts him, moving faster than the teen can respond to. Jake's eyes widen in fear as the blur of a man backhands him across the face. He slams into the far wall, dropping to his hands and knees. He coughs, staring at the floor as blood hangs from his lips in long strings. Who? Jake whispers, replaying the movement in his head, but still only seeing movement and no clear figure. Who hit me? He was so fast and his punch was as hard as any Radnovich ever laid on me. Jake wonders in horror, his entire body now aching. Enough playing around. We have important matters to attend to, Elian says, lowering his arm back down to his side. The big guy moved that fast? Jake thinks, having trouble believing that the dojo's leader is truly as strong as Radnovich, who's a multiple-time world championship finalist. Elian looks down at Danny and clears his throat loudly. Get up. He's your responsibility. You blew it with that Chen boy. If you made another wrong choice, then it'll be your turn to face Lord Yamura's wrath, Elian growls. Danny stands up, wiping the blood from her eyes, and nods. Yes, master, Danny whispers in submission. Jake trembles. His fists are tightly closed, and his eyes dart back and forth between Elian, Danny, and Klaus, as well as the general class of less threatening students. How can I get past the big guy? There must be something I can do, Jake thinks fearfully, as he tries not to panic. We've expended many resources in locating you, Jake, Elian says, walking towards him. But if our assumptions are correct, the payoff will be unimaginable. Jake springs forward, throwing several fast kicks at the large man. Elian deflects the first with his forearm and grabs Jake's ankle as he attacks with the other. Jake tries to shift his weight to kick again with his free leg, but Elian swings him by the foot and right into Glaus's waiting path. Glaus clotheslines Jake across the throat, flames of searing pain rushing through his respiratory system. To his side, Danny quickly focuses. She draws forth the magical symbols inside of her head needed to summon the binding chains once more. Restrainta, Danny chants, again trying to immobilize Jake with the mystical chains. I can't give up, Jake thinks, willing himself to open his eyes and pull himself off the ground where he landed on his back from Glaus's clothesline. Jake throws his hands out, catching the magical chains around his wrists, and swings his arm as hard as he can. He catches the other end of the chains on Danny's legs and jerks her off her feet. He rolls to a standing position and bends his knees to launch himself towards the door. Elian intercepts with a right hook that sends Jake crashing back against the far wall. The teen slumps to the floor, but doesn't have the time to lick his wounds. Elian's students already are almost on him. Jake leaps to the side on instinct, Glaus and Micah attempting to flank him on either side. Jake forms an aura skin just in time to absorb their strikes. Within range, Jake is able to deliver a spinning heel kick to Micah and a rising knee to Glaus's chin. Before the teens can hit the ground, Danny casts an Agnestra fireball. Jake pivots, pulling all of his aura into his hands and absorbing the hit. Jake skids back, smoke rolling off his palms. He blocked my spell barehanded? Danny thinks in surprise. Elian suddenly materializes behind Jake, chopping his right shoulder with a knife-hand strike. Jake jumps to the side, but his right arm hangs down lifelessly. He dislocated my shoulder, Jake thinks. Damn it, that guy hit so hard. Your struggling is pointless. Yamura will have your body, Elian says. I have spent far too much time and effort preparing for this. Many lives have been sacrificed to make this moment happen. I refuse to let those sacrifices be for nothing. I think I can take all of the students, but not until I'm able to remove the teacher from the equation. Jake tries to strategize, but Elian doesn't give him enough time. Elian moves like a blur, striking with a backhand. Jake ducks, focusing his aura into his left fist and delivering a full power uppercut to the stomach. Elian drops a hand down to block, but is surprised how quickly Jake is able to react. Danny tries to attack again while Jake is distracted, releasing another fire spell, but Elian intercepts, dispelling the attack with his hands. Elian winces in pain, his hands smoking. No more, Elian orders. We can't risk killing him. Cast only binding magic from here on. Danny nods, having gotten carried away. Yes, master. Jake concentrates on his left hand, straining to remain focused despite the pain. I'll only have one chance at this. He's way too strong for me to get a second try. Only wish I'd had more time with Radnovich to perfect my energy control. It takes way too long to pull this off at the level I am now. Crackles of electricity-like energy sparkle around Jake's arm. He's concentrating his energy, Elian thinks. Does he believe that I can't tell what he's doing? The kid has talent, but he severely lacks any kind of experience. Bonding with Yamura will surely remove that shortcoming. Elian rushes with several fast punches, causing Jake to leap back in evasion. Damn it! He's keeping me from concentrating on my aura completely, Jake thinks in frustration. Elian grabs Jake's wrist, squeezing tightly. This fight is over. Jake rotates his hand, using the collected energy to break Elian's grip with a bright flash of light. Elian jumps away, his own wrist now bruised black. He spent all of his energy just to get free, Elian thinks, rubbing his wrist. That may have hurt me, but at least he's used up all of his power. The boy should be running on nothing but fumes at this point. With a burst of speed Jake cannot match, Elian delivers a single jab to the gut. Jake falls back, gasping for air. The other students pile onto Jake and hold him down. He thrashes in vain, trying to break free of their grips. Relax. You'll be thanking us for this soon, says Elian. Thank you? Holding me down so you can stab me with something that's not something I want to be thankful for. The pendant is unlike any other necklace. You just need to wear it. So why hold me down? You tried to leave. We cannot have that. It will all be over soon, and then you'll have all the answers you desire. Danny, help me. You have to know this is wrong, Jake pleads. I'm sorry, but this is my way of helping you. You'll become a much better person after this change, she replies quietly, shame in her voice. You bitch! Damn it! When I get loose, I'm gonna rip all of your throats out. Damn it! Let me go! Jake screams. Danny leaves the main room, going to the back to retrieve the amulet. With the bonding of the amulet to your spirit, the power born of this union will be unfathomable, Elian says. If you want this power so damn bad, why don't you just wear it yourselves and leave me out of this? We've tried. The union destroyed everyone else, so far. Only your unique spirit will allow for the bonding of Yamura to become one with your body. Bonding of Yamura to my body? I thought it was just an amulet. The amulet we possess is only one of many. The Sakari spirit contained within, however, is far from ordinary. General Yamura was one of the strongest and most feared of all his kind. Yamura. The name echoes in Jake's mind, the dreams having warned him about this moment. Danny returns with an ancient-looking gold-plated box. Come on, can't we talk this some more? Maybe we can figure out a way to bring this Yamura into the world without using my body. You should feel honored. You're the only person in this world who's able to bear the spirit of Yamura and not be destroyed, Elian says. We're not positive on that issue. Let's not be hasty. An honor, Danny whispers, opening up the box. Yeah, real honored. Come on, this is ridiculous, Jake shouts, still thrashing to free himself. You come any closer to me with that thing and I'll gouge your eyes out. Jake's aura begins to flare out, encircling his body. The students holding him down wince in pain as his energy burns into their hands. Yet they still hold on. How has his energy recovered already? Elian wonders in astonishment. This boy is truly remarkable. He was born for this moment. Jake is Yamura's perfect vessel. Open his shirt up, says Danny. One of the students rips open Jake's shirt as Danny approaches with the amulet. Si lapan daklu esiru elu istu ina ana habanatu. Great Sakari who was imprisoned, come forth into this vessel, Danny chants, dangling the ancient-looking amulet on a golden chain in front of her. The amulet begins to glow brightly as she lowers it to Jake's bare chest. Come on, Danny, please don't do this. You're going to be a lot better off, stronger, able to get back at all of your enemies. You'll have peace at last. Isn't that what you want? I'm the cause of my own misery. It isn't anyone else's fault but my own. Please. Goodbye, Jake. You'll thank me later, says Danny, kissing Jake on the cheek and placing the amulet on his sternum. As the amulet makes contact with his skin, it burns into his flesh. Jake screams in agony as the amulet liquefies. It begins to absorb into his skin. The liquid flows through his veins, visible through his skin in a bright metallic color. Jake's eyes roll back in his head, and he continues to scream. Is it working? It just looks like it's killing him, says Danny. No one else has gotten past the next few seconds, so we're about to find out, says Elian. Jake screams even louder, his energy erupting out from every pore of his body. The students are blasted off him and through the walls. Elian and Danny are knocked into a glass trophy case, shattering it. Danny looks up, blood running down her face, a deep cut etched right beside her other fresh one from Jake. Jake's energy holds him above the ground, as he still remains flat, with his head hanging backwards and his arms limp. The energy intensifies and begins to darken into a deep red. As the energy reddens, electricity sparkles from his body all around the room. I've never felt anything this powerful before, whispers Danny in fear. It must be working. There's no way all that energy is coming from the boy, says Elian. The energy rotates around Jake until his feet touch the ground. He still remains out of it, his head hung back. The energy continues to radiate from him, as does the electricity. A current of energy from deep within his body rises and erupts out suddenly, wrapping Jake in a bright glow. The energy flows around him, seeping back into his skin. Where the energy touches him, it leaves behind strange writing and symbols on his flesh, an ancient language that none of them can decipher. His hair stands on end as the energy flows upwards. The energy darkens the tips of his hair, as if some black liquid is flowing into them. Two phantom horns of red energy materialize above the teen's head. He screams in agony before doubling over in pain and vomiting more of the viscous black liquid. His head drops forwards, just as all the energy vanishes with the last burst. Jake stares silently at the floor. Lord Yamura? Asks Elian. Where am I? Jake asks in a dark voice. Jake looks up. Black rings wrap around his eyes. His pupils have vanished into a sea of red. Are you in complete control? For the most part. It will take some time to eradicate the traces of this wretched mortal from within. In the recesses of his own mind, Jake shouts out all alone in the darkness. What will you have us do for you, master? Elian asks. Fetch me some garments more befitting. These are insulting. Yamura growls and tosses the uniform shirt aside. I'll be right back, says Danny, leaving for the back room to find clothing. Do you know where you are, or what era this is, my lord? I could hear through the pendant the cruel passage of time, yet I could not interact. This is a land called America. It is sometime in the 20th century, some 10 or 12,000 years since my imprisonment. My mind has continued to function all this time, yet without a body. I have been unable to age. Yamura looks around in disappointment. Are these children all that's left of our acolytes after all these centuries? Yes, my lord. The passage of time has not been gracious to your kind. My kind. Where are the others? The other pendants those wretched sages used to seal us away. Where's my sister Inyana, or Grand General Hui? It's taken me many years just to discover that you were contained inside of this amulet, my lord. All my efforts have been in freeing you. Then I will have to take it from here. I will track down the others, and revive them myself, ushering in a new age. You might be able to use the Book of the Black Earth to do it. We've used spells contained within it to locate your vessel, Elian says before pausing. But there were many other spells far too potent for us to attempt. You were scared. It's not surprising. All humans are cowards, laughs Yamura loudly as he takes the book from Elian. Yamura begins to flip through the pages of the book, searching for anything useful. What an incredible text. He details so many different histories of this world, and of my own. Who possibly wrote this thing? Yamura wonders. Yamura reads stories unknown to modern accepted archaeology. Vast human civilizations, preceding the Sumerians by thousands of years, and chronicles of entire cities as big as modern metropolises, rising and falling. He reads of massive devastation, effectively erasing each of them from history, yet somehow the book has managed to save these forgotten moments. The Book of the Black Earth is one of the forbidden volumes written by the Yazata, Elian says. Yazata, Yamura repeats, recalling stories from his youth of the race of white-haired beings with wings made of energy. His mind is also brought to the only two Yazata he's ever witnessed with his own eyes, the two allies of Marduk, who conspired to kill his father and take over the kingdom so long ago. The Yazata named Cedrion and Gadriel, rare guests at the palace in his day, yet frequented it much during Marduk's reign. They are said to have observed all history and recorded it in this book. Many years ago it came to be lost to them and was passed down among the ministry. Acolytes of my kind, Yamura whispers, knowing the implication. And of others, the true enemies of the Yazata, the Devilnay. I'm not familiar with that word, Yamura says. The devils were once powerful Yazata, a warrior race called the Seraphim. They became outcasts and were deformed into creatures that vaguely resembled distorted versions of your kind, as a punishment. Yamura begins to read more, passing the rise and fall of a teeming city-state called Theoptra, which was destroyed by war with a rival culture over resources. He reads of a city called Chaldean, built around a religious temple, worshipping one of the fallen Yazata Devilnay. Chaldean was eventually abandoned, as people stopped worshipping the deity that never provided for them. Numerous other cultures existing in a twilight that modern human science believed mankind to be nothing more than hunter-gatherers, come and go, all before the city of Katal-Takuk would ever appear in an area close to what would eventually be known as Mesopotamia. Around the year of 8000 BC, he reads that a human successfully opened up the portal to the world of the Sakari that is called Averno. A host of powerful Sakari arrive and are defeated by a powerful warrior of Seraphim and human mixed ancestry named Enkidu and a group of human sages. Yamura balls his fists in anger at the mention of the name Enkidu. He reads on, however, anxious to learn what happened after his imprisonment inside of the pendant. Less than a year later, Katal-Takuk is destroyed by a force called the Magog, along with the other 4 largest cities at the time. Enkidu sacrifices his life to stop the Magog, but with the cities destroyed, it takes many years for civilization to recover and reach the level it previously had. At least he did not live much longer after my defeat. It is a shame, though, that I did not have the chance to kill him myself, Yamura thinks. I'm also curious as to what this Magog is. I've never heard of such a thing. The book speaks of it as though it's some force of nature, yet the human was able to stop it by sacrificing his own life. Yamura finds little references to the Magog, All he can find is that it appeared several other times throughout the history of mankind, and each time it has wiped out civilizations and forced humans to rebuild again. He surmises that it was some force created by the Yazata to keep the humans in check. He returns to reading, finding a passage relating to the imprisonment of the Sicarii from Averno. Verse 988. Of the advance party of Sicarii to come through the portal, there were imprisoned 3. 2/3 of their forces were cut down by the humans. The remainder fled into the wilderness after the portal was sealed once more. Even atop massive Upas lizards, and wielding magic and steel, they were defeated by the brave warrior Enkidu and the sages Fausto, Refugio, Simeon, Elamaches, and Ismael. One day, far into the future, 2 of the 3 imprisoned during the battle in Kataltakuk will become freed in close succession to each other. They will be given human hosts possessing abnormal spiritual awareness and durable constitution. They will be known by a dark spirit, and by that dark spirit will their bodies become vessels for the Sicarii. The one called Yamura will come to be in the mortal world for a time. Many will fall in fear at his feet, and his destructive power will become greater than it ever was before his imprisonment. He will search for greater power and be struck down by a blood kin of his vessel. Yamura stops in disbelief at what he's reading. It specifically mentions my return, but hints at my demise. How can this be? Imprisoned for so long, only to be defeated and killed? No, it's not clear. Just because this book contains the past does not mean that it writes the future. I will not allow it. I will use this information to track down and kill every blood kin of my vessel in this so-called prophecy of my demise. Jake hears Yamura's thoughts echoing through the darkness. He's planning on going after my family. I have to warn them somehow, Jake quickly decides. Here, says Danny, returning with a black robe and hood. This will do much better. I have business to attend to. You all will stay here and await my return, says Yamura, throwing the robe on and leaving the dojo out into the cold night air. I need to locate this vessel's family and eliminate them. But my vessel is somehow shrouding their location from me. I should have full access to his memories, yet I cannot see them, Yamura thinks in frustration. Maybe my full strength has not yet returned. Lieutenant Rollins of IMPD Homicide pulls his car into the parking lot of Elian Schaefer's warehouse dojo. According to the Chamber of Commerce, Elian officially has 28 students. Lieutenant Rollins takes a deep breath to clear his thoughts in the off chance that Schaefer really is his man. He exits the car and walks briskly to the main doors, rapping them loudly with his knuckles. Elian approaches the door and suddenly freezes. The horror in his face is recognition enough for Lieutenant Rollins. There's now no doubt in the detective's mind that this man is his murderer. Lieutenant Rollins quickly draws his sidearm and kicks the door open, raising his gun towards the suspect. Elian Schaefer, get down on the ground now. You're under arrest. Elian sprints into the back rooms, vanishing faster than the detective expects a man of his size be able to move. Lieutenant Rollins pursues him around the corner, losing the suspect at the entry point to a set of decrepit stairs leading down into darkness. He thumbs on his flashlight and holds it in a cross against his sidearm as he descends down the stairs in pursuit of Schaefer. How the hell did he find me? I was careful not to leave any tracks. Those bastards from Endelgion couldn't track me, so how could this cop? Elian wonders as he races down the old hallways towards an emergency ladder leading up into the alley. Lieutenant Rollins catches a glimpse of the suspect trying to run and fires off a pair of warning shots. The first pings into the wall beside Elian's head, sending bits of concrete exploding into his face and causing his ears to ring loudly. He stumbles, and the second shot hits the floor beside his feet. "Don't fucking move!" Lieutenant Rollins screams. Elian desperately tries to think of his remaining options. The sudden appearance of this cop has thrown his typically collected self completely off. It's too dark to read off a spell from the Book of the Black Earth. His only chance is to try and disable the cop without getting shot in the process. He is struck by a sudden terror. His body becomes numb. Even from the distance of the police officer's voice, he imagines that he can feel the pressure of his gun's barrel pressing into his back. He begins to sweat, not daring to move. In this narrow corridor, he has no way to dodge. "Don't move, Elian Schaefer. You're under arrest for murder. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in the court of law. You have the right to an attorney. If you cannot afford one, the state will provide you one." How did he find out it was me? I haven't left behind any evidence, and the only victim I ever had before was Corey. Elian worries, the thoughts racing through his mind in a panicked hurry. "Turn around slowly with your hands in the air where I can see them." Elian slowly raises his arms above his head and shuffles his feet to face the officer. "You're not as fat in person. The security cameras must add a few pounds." Security cameras. I was recorded on camera? Damn it. Where was I so careless? "I don't know how you've been able to burn all these men to death without leaving behind any trace accelerants, but it's over now." Elian realizes the things seem very grim. Surely this cop has backup waiting outside. Even if he were somehow able to kill him and escape, the police would have his name, address, and face. There's no way he could escape their net completely, should they inevitably cast it. The evidence is overwhelming, and he knows that if he does nothing and allows himself to be arrested, he will spend the rest of his life in jail or worse. He is torn, deciding between losing options. "Agnestra!" Elian screams, throwing his arms down and unleashing a spell that can project fires to spawn upon a target remotely. Lieutenant Rollins instinctively pivots and squeezes the trigger, releasing a single round as the magical spell knocks him off balance. Elian suddenly loses his opportunity at flight when the single bullet tears through his right thigh and brings him to the floor with a yelp of pain. Flames erupt on Lieutenant Rollins' chest, and he immediately drops to the ground and begins to roll to put them out. Being magical in origin, the flames do not cease, and he's forced to think quickly, leaping to his feet and tearing off his shirt and protective vest. The officer tosses the still-burning objects to the ground and levels his gun back at Elian, who's still writhing in pain on the floor. Blood squirts from the bullet wound, and despite knowing a few combat spells, Elian has no knowledge of healing magic. Yamura enters an alley blocked at the other side by two men dressed in leather jackets and chains. The men are heavily pierced and tattooed. "You a monk or something, weirdo?" one of the men asks, holding a switchblade. "What do you imbeciles desire?" "Imbeciles? We have more than one cell, asshole," says the other man, moving back to his jacket to reveal the shiny grip of a handgun. "We're robbing you, so give us your wallet," says the first man. "Wallet? You wish to hijack my monetary possessions. I am afraid I possess none, so be gone." "I hope you don't mind if we check for you. People tend to lie to us sometimes." Yamura cracks his knuckles and grins. "Yamura, stop! Don't do it!" shouts Jake. "These fools threaten us. They believe me to be a meaningless peon. I shall devour their very souls and add their worthlessness to my own power. I shall make their lives have true meaning. You can't go around killing people. It is what I do. They are dredges who seek only to harm. I am merely going to grant them release. You can't! Silence! I am the one in control of your body. You have no say in the matter. In his mind, chains wrap around Jake's arms and legs. Yamura's influence continues to grow. Money is important in this world, is it not? Yamura asks. Yeah, it is. So give us yours. I have an alternative. Give me your weapons and your clothing right now. I now believe that I stand out in this attire as a target. The man with a gun pulls it out and aims it at Yamura in fear. This device, it creates death. Magnificent. Show me how it works. Gladly, says the man, pulling back the hammer. No. On him, smiles Yamura, pointing at the other criminal. Badare al controle. That's real funny. Ice him, Ricky, says the other. I can't, Ricky says, his arm shaking. Such weak minds. You humans are ruled by your desires. Using the same spell Danny used to repeatedly control people, Yamura is able to directly manipulate the man's actions. Ricky aims his gun, and despite his partner's pleas, shoots him in the chest 2 times. The bullets slam into the man's chest and knock him off his feet. Kenny! Ricky screams, near tears. Now, place it in your own mouth, Yamura grins. Please, no. Ricky trembles, unable to resist the power of the mind control spell. He pulls the trigger, splattering the back of his skull on the alley wall. Yamura holds his arms out and laughs as a strange glow consumes both him and the bodies. Seal, accelere! A monstrous howl echoes from nowhere and everywhere simultaneously. A strong wind whips around Yamura, and he breathes it in deeply. 2 runes materialize on his forearms as the glow subsides. Your kind is so easily manipulated, says Yamura, taking off the robe and putting on Ricky's jeans and shirt. Yamura walks over to Kenny and takes his leather jacket, belt, and boots. He checks his pockets to find a Zippo lighter, a pack of cigarettes, and a set of keys. Tell me, Vessel, to what lock do these keys go? Like I know, it could be his car, his house. I have no clue. Jake growls, still furious he was unable to lift a finger to stop the murders of the 2 men. Even though they were criminals, their names and faces are burned into Jake's memory by guilt. Kenny and Ricky. Now tell me where to find your family, Yamura says. I'll never tell you, Jake shouts, a brick wall rising up from the ground and blocking his thoughts from Yamura. Such a strong will to be able to restrict me from within, Yamura says with interest. I suppose I will ask the female. She is a peer of yours, am I correct? Danny, yes, that's what it was. I'm sure that she will be more forthcoming with information. Move again, asshole. Give me a reason to put the next bullet straight through your fucking eye socket, Lieutenant Rollins screams. His bare chest heaves and is red from the minor burns that managed to get through his clothing. Elian is frozen with fear. Pain courses through his body, yet he cannot focus on anything except the terror that comes from being helpless. His attempt at using magic to escape has failed, and now any movement will result in his death. He begins to picture being arrested, taking a walk of shame into the police station, being booked and placed into a small, cold cell. He imagines having to spend the rest of his days trying to pass the time in a prison. I can't let it end this way. This can't be my family's legacy. I'm the one that found the city buried in the sand. I'm the one that found the Book of the Black Earth and released Yamura. How'd you do it? How'd you make the fire appear out of nowhere? What you tried on me, is that how you killed those other men? Lieutenant Rollins asks. Go to hell, Elian screams. Lieutenant Rollins aims his sight on Elian's forehead. You lead the way. A hand erupts through the officer's chest in a flash of blood. His eyes bulge and only gurgles manage to utter from his lips. The hand withdraws as suddenly as it penetrated, leaving Lieutenant Dwayne Rollins to drop to the floor lifeless. Blood swells out from around the downed officer, and his eyes continue to stare forwards, despite his body ceasing to function almost immediately. What are you doing? Why was that man pointing his death weapon at you? Yamura asks. Elian is speechless. He cannot help but be struck in awe of the sheer power possessed by the former Sakari general. Even stuck within a human body, he was able to kill the police officer with little more effort than taking a breath. He found out about the people that I had to sacrifice in order to find your true vessel, Elian finally replies, straining to speak through the pain still shooting through his leg. Yamura makes a snorting noise before finally speaking again. Worthless lives. Focus should not be made in avenging the deaths of those who are too weak to even stand up to a fraction of my former glory. Yamura glances down at Elian, who still cradles his gunshot wound, trying to stop the bleeding. Clean yourself up before returning upstairs. Your human weakness is sickening. Elian struggles to stand, leaning on the wall for support. My lord, can't you do something to heal me? Medical magics are beyond my ability. Shall I decide to put you out of your misery? Without a reply given to him, Yamura returns upstairs and leaves Elian to fend for himself. Elian drags himself down the hall into his office with pained struggle. He fumbles around on his desk until he manages to finally locate a pair of scissors. Using the tool as a crude tweezers, he plunges the blades into his leg and tries to probe for the foreign projectile. He screams in continued agony, each movement tearing through increased amounts of flesh. He locates the slug and removes it before tying a piece from a spare uniform's belt around his leg above the wound, and then holding a cigarette lighter against his leg to try and cauterize and slow the bleeding. Elian is in tears, biting down hard on the ends of the belt as the pain becomes unbearable. After what seems like an eternity of pain and fading in and out of consciousness, Elian manages to stand on his uninjured leg and limp out of his office. He hobbles down the hallway and back up the stairs to the main room of his dojo. Yamura stands in the center of the room, arguing heatedly with both Danny and Glaus. Upon seeing her teacher wounded, Danny rushes to his side and begins to consume his leg in the healing glow of a spell. Thank you, Danny, Elian says as her magic begins working to heal his wounds. He's amazed the girl is able to wield curative magic in addition to the offensive techniques he taught her. Most mages specialize in one field of study, but Danny's natural affinity for magic is unbelievable. I wish for the female Danny to accompany me, Yamura says when they have finished. Master, I don't trust him, Danny shouts in protest. Yamura turns, returning to the door to leave once more. You heard him, Elian says, pushing her towards Yamura. He leans in close and whispers to Danny. You've seen what he's capable of. Don't piss him off or you'll be killed too. Before she can object, Yamura is outside, and she must sprint to catch up with him. Sensei, what are we going to do? Glaus whispers, trembling and bursting into tears. We're going to be killed too. I won't let that happen, Elian says, embracing his student and trying to comfort him. Yamura and Danny walk back towards the alley. She sees the blood splattered on the walls and ground and is filled with dread. Who did you kill? She asks. It is of no consequence, Yamura says without emotion, walking past the crime scene. Danny sees a pool of blood collected around a dumpster and knows that he must have tossed the body inside. I wonder who he killed, she thinks, fearful for her own safety while around him. What do you want from me? Are you aware of this vessel's family? Yeah, I know some of them. His cousins go to school with us. That backstabbing bitch is going to get my family killed, Jake thinks in anger, helpless to stop them. Then we go to this school of yours tomorrow. Until then, we pray these streets so that I may regain my strength. Every soul that I consume, Seal Asalair, adds its strength to my own, Yamura declares. He consumes souls? Danny thinks, a shiver running down her back. This alley provided me with deviants quickly. Is this area of town laden with criminal activity? A lot of industry has left the city, and the only real employer left is Conco. When times are hard, people become more desperate, Danny explains. Yamura grins, seeing a perfect opportunity to increase his power on the horizon. I'm running out of time. Yamura's going to use my body to kill again, and it's all my fault. I should have never allowed myself to become so clouded by jealousy. I gave him the perfect window to take over. There has to be a way to regain control of my body, thinks Jake in desperation. Rusty sits on his roof, staring out at the night sky. Something bad is drawing closer. I don't know what it is or why it's coming, but I can feel that it's dark and full of hatred. I really hope my feeling's wrong, but in the pit of my stomach I know it has something to do with Jake. Gator steps outside, holding a can of beer in one hand and a lit cigarette in the other. Everything all right, kiddo? He asks. I don't know what to do, Dad. Rusty's depressed, and his father can sense the deep conflict within the boy. What do you mean? It's Jake. He hates me and I don't know why. It's like he's become a different person and he keeps pushing us all away. I want to help him. I want to make things go back to the way they were. He pauses, but I can't think of any solutions. Is it because of the girl, Amy? Rusty shrugs. I think it started out because of that, but then it just got too far out of hand. It should have never come to this. Emotions, especially strong ones like love or lust, can make people act irrationally. Add on to that the disappearance of his dad, and Jake's psyche's in a terrible place. He's become dangerous. Staying away from him is probably the best option. I can't do that. The way he is right now, he might hurt someone. Gator nods, knowing his son wants to do what's right. Are you prepared to stop him if that's what it comes down to? I don't want to fight him, Dad. He's my family. He's our family. He's also my friend. I don't want to lose him. I think it might already be too late for that. Jake's already lost. What if he was hurting Amy or your mother? Would you show that same hesitation? Of course not, Rusty says without hesitation. Then you have your answer. You'll do what's right. I trust you, son. Rusty smiles sadly. Thanks, Dad. I don't want to fight Jake again, but if I can stop him before he hurts someone, I have no other choice. He may not be in full control, but the old Jake wouldn't want to hurt people. I have to preserve that memory of him. I can't let this version of Jake destroy everything that the old Jake stood for.